All right, so let's look at some practice problems dealing with how we find the slope and graph a linear equation. So first reviewing slope, which we typically represent with m. So the slope m is the difference of the y coordinates divided by the difference in the x coordinates. So y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 is typically what you'll see it as. And it doesn't matter which one you call y1 or y2. I could call this one y1 and this y2. But it does matter that you match the x2 and the x1 with the y2 and y1. So if I call this one if I was to call this one y2, I have to make this x2. And if I call this one x1, I got to make that one y1. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. So let me just go and solve this. So we got that the slope will be -8 minus a -2 over a -5 minus -1, which will be -6 over -4, which will be 3/2, 3 over 2. Another one, the slope that goes through 2, 5, and 8, 11. So again, let's make this x1, y1, and this x2, y2. Using that same equation, we'll have 11 minus 5 on top, divided by 8 minus 2. We'll have 6 over 6, which will just give us 1. Okay, now let's step it up a bit. In the next set of problems, we're going to find the equation of the linear function. So let's use the form y equals mx plus b. That's usually the most common and easiest to understand. So it's slope-intercept form. Remember that the m is the slope, the b is the y-intercept. So we're given the slope of that's 1/2. So we can first go off and write y equals 1/2 x plus b. But we need the value of b. We need the value of the y-intercept. And for that, we're going to use the fact that it goes through 4, 6, which means that if you plug in these coordinates into the equation, it's going to have to work. So it's going to make something true, which then allows us to solve for b. So doing that, I'll make y equal to 6 and x equal to 4. And then solving for b, I'll have 6 equals 2 plus b. And then b is just 4. Then from that, I can go ahead and rewrite my equation. From here, I can go just y is 1/2 x plus 4. And we're good there. So again, if you're reviewing, I advise you maybe pause the video and try the next problem and next problems on your own first to see if you got it down, and then unpause it when you're ready to go. But here I go. Now we're just given only 2 points. So we need to first find the slope, which will go 9 minus 6, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So 3 over 1, or just 3. Oops. And then so then we can write our equation as y equals 3x plus b. And then we solve for b by plugging this equation into any point. Both these points will give you the same value for b because they're both, points that the line goes through. So just pick the easier one. I'll probably just go with 2, 6. And so I'll have y is 6. So 6 equals 3 times 2 plus b. And 6 equals then 6 plus b, which means that b is just 0. And that's okay. That just means it intersects the origin. And so then our equation for y is just y equals 3x. Now, just to kind of prove to you what I mean, and the beauty about math, let's say I want to use this point and plug 3, 9 into here. I'm going to work it out up here. So then y would be 9, and x would be 3, so I'll have 9 equals 3 times 3 plus b. And you see I get 9 equals 9 plus b. And so again, b is just 0. And then you can see why they both work. So it doesn't matter which point you pick. Okay, a couple more. Let's try this next one. Goes through 9, 12, and 7, 2. Slope y2, so 2 minus 12 over 7 minus 9. And so we'll get negative 10 over negative 2. It'll give us 5. So the slope is 5. So I'll get y equals 5x plus b. And again, just pick either point to plug in. So let me just pick 7, 2, because that looks simpler to work with. So then I'll have y is 2 and x is 7. And we'll get 2 equals 35 plus b. And then b will be negative 33. And then my equation for y is just replace the b with negative 33. Y equals 5x minus 33. All right. And one more of these guys. Let's throw a fraction as a slope, so you don't get scared with these. So we're given the slope as 9/5. So we have y equals 9/5 x plus b. Throw that negative 10, 2 into here. So I have y is 2. And then x is negative 10. And let's just remember how we deal with fractions. So negative 10 is the same as negative 10 over 1. So we just multiply across. So we'll have 2 equals negative 90 over 5 plus b. We're going to add 90 over 5 to both sides. And that actually simplifies to, let me think, not 20, it'll be 18. Yeah, this is the same as negative 18. So let's add 18 to both sides. So we'll get 20 is equal to b. And then from there, y will be 9/5 x plus 20. All right. So let's now look at graphing. Maybe take a little sip of water first before I move on. Actually, no, there's 2 more. Yeah, keeping the practice going. Oh yeah, and now I remember why I put these, because you don't want to be like, I never saw how to do that. My teacher didn't teach me, but I got you. Okay, like we're given the points now. It goes through. So y again, x1, y1. What am I doing? X2, and then y2. So if we use the slope, we'll get 3 minus negative 7 over 1 minus 1. So we'll have the slope of 10 over 0. You're like, what the hell is this? Is making sense? This is an undefined slope or an infinite slope. Or infinite slope. So it's one way to think of it, but it's just basically a vertical line. It's a vertical line because you can just look at the points it goes through. It goes through 1, -7. Let's just say it's over here. 1, -7. And also 1, 3. So that means the points are above and below each other. You can always just graph and see, yeah, that makes sense. It's a vertical line, but this vertical line still has an equation. The equation of a vertical line will always be x equals some constant. In this case, it's x equals 1 because the x value on this vertical line will always be 1. So make sure you do leave an equation. Don't leave your answer like this because this maybe will give you partial credit, but this is the actual solution of the line. And again, help yourself understand it by just taking a little extra minute or two and graph it. That's what I would do when back in the day when I didn't study for my math test in high school. I would just take longer, but graphing it and testing it, and it would work out. Most of the time, at least. Okay, one more. So slope m equals -7.25 minus -7 over 0 minus 1. So then this means that we got -0.25 over -1. And remember, -0.25 over -1, if you can't pick visual, then do it mentally. This is just the same as 1/4 over 1. And 1/4 over 1 or 1/4 over 1 over 1, this is just 1/4. So the slope is 1/4, and however way you look at it. From there, we plug this into our equation. Let's just pick a point. Well, let me first write y equals 1/4 x plus b. Then let's pick this. Well, actually, let's pick this one. This is probably easier to work with since there's no decimals. We'll go -7 equals 1/4 times 1 plus b. Actually, I'm just realizing this. Well, they're both about the same. Never mind. So -7 equals 1/4 plus b. So we just take away 1/4. We'll get -7 and 1/4. Whoops, let me go. Let me get my sticky note because I don't want to write on this thing. Interfere. Going over here, -7 minus 1/4 equals b. And this is just -7 and 1/4 or -7.25 equals b. And then we plug that into our equation and we have y equals 1/4 x minus 7.25. There we go. All right, now let's look at some graphing. These are actually going to be easier now that we have the calculations down. So we're just going to graph this equation on here. I mean, the key is, again, to make sure you understand and recognize what the value of the slope is. So y equals mx plus b. We match up the equation. We find that m, or the coefficient of x, is -1. So m is -1. And then b is -5. Which is right here, I guess. Fill it in here. And we plot a point at -5 on the y-axis first. And make sure you know what direction to go for the negative slope. I always tell my students, go to the right and either go up if it's positive and down if it's negative. But always go from left to right. Just like when you read a book, at least over here in the Western hemisphere, or the US and these countries, we read from left to right always. You don't like pick a book up and be like, and you're like, oh, let me read this book from left to right, or from up to down, or right. You don't change that. So we start here going to the right, since it's negative, we just go down one, like that. And then from here, you can tell what the pattern is going to be. It's going to be like this. That'll be your line. Okay, now for this one, for B here, move my screen. We just got to solve for x, or solve for y. Let's add 4x to both sides. We'll get 3y equals 4x minus 12. Divide each term by 3. And we'll get y is 4/3 x minus 4. And then the slope is 4/3. And the y-intercept is -4. So we go to the y-axis at -4. 4/3, since it's positive, we're going to the right. So up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then to the right 3, 1, 2, 3. And then we try it again. And that'll be our line. Man, nice. Okay, so we're done with those types of problems on this practice test. So I hope that helped. Feel free to take a break. Here's my duck for good luck. And you know, let me know if you have any questions or if something was confusing when I went over a problem. So let me know in the comments. And you know, if you thought it was cool and liked it, leave a like and thumbs up and subscribe, of course. All right. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, later.